Hello, guys. So, welcome to the prototype presentation of our live revenue governance copilot. So, this is Wasim here. So, I just wanted to quickly show you what we've been building so far. So, what you're seeing here is the first part of our prototype, which is the sales governance copilot, which is actually something that sits beside your screen when you're actually doing a sales call. It's something that helps the team close better deals while staying compliant. And as I was saying, we have two parts. So we have built the prototype and split into two parts as well. The first part is what you're seeing on the screen here, which is a copilot. And the second is the management layer where the founders or the sales team get full visibility. Now, coming to the copilot, I want you to imagine that you are on a sales call, and sometimes we are challenged with really difficult clients. They wanted to do the product, they want to dig in deep to the product information, what services we are getting, how is the onboarding, all that. And it's different every time. From with someone who've got years of experience, they still face these kinds of problems. And if someone there who was new to the sales, and they're doing a B2B course, and they might not have that experience on dealing with these difficult questions, and they might struggle. So, which is affecting the performance of the team overall or the company's revenue directly. Because if the deal is not closed at the end of the day, it's affecting their revenue. Now, I want you to think of a situation like that, where the client is asking about the credibility of the service, maybe a challenging question, and instead of guessing what to say next, the system will actually listen in real time and guides you. So I want you to think of this system is an experienced version, or the system knows how to handle these questions because we have trained this by different kinds of objection, and it would know what to say next. And even you have the right to deal with that question by yourself, but of course it helps or assists you in a way which can improve your dealings with that client. Now, it gives you context aware suggestion, not pre-programmed suggestions. Now, like what to say next to move the deal forward, because sometimes the deal might stall and you're thinking like what to say to this person. So the system will actually help you out. And how to handle critical objections, that's where the salespeople struggle a lot. Or when to push for a close, because you might speak for a long time and you're just missing the what do you say, we call that the golden window. Sometimes we miss that golden window when you don't push for a close. So the system will also remind you on that. Now, the interesting part is, don't think of the system as something which just helps you to sell more. It's not just about selling more, it's also about tracking risk and compliance in real time. This is much more important than the sales itself, because if a representative says something that they shouldn't, they are jeopardizing the company's reputation, like making a promise that violates our policy or over promising on what we are supposed to deliver. Because if we do that, it has a bigger impact than we might expect. And this is where the system flags those kinds of conversation instantly, and that's where the governance layer comes in. So you're not just increasing your revenue, you're also protecting it. And as you can see on the screen here, so we have this, the first part is the qualification index score, as you can see on the top right hand section, which will score your sales call. It will give you a score. If it's less than zero point 0.8, we are expecting it as like you didn't do what you're supposed to do really, really well. So if the sales call went really, really well, you'll get a higher score. So that's one thing. And the second thing is, like, every sales call or every consultative sales call, what the rep initially supposed to do is they have to qualify the client first or the customer first. Because if they don't qualify, there's no point pushing the product. It will just waste both their time. So for that, they have to ask a few questions. What happens some of the times is, the salesperson, they have a lot of calls to make in a day. Sometimes they have to call 20 people, 30 people, and the client comes in as really interested in the product, and they feel like, okay, this is an easy close. I might as well just skip the qualification part and jump into the pitch. So what happens is, when they are able to when they are about to close that person, they'll come up with a lot of objections. And if you don't do the qualification first, you're not going to close them. That's what happens. So let's say the system is suggesting with a question. So what's your biggest operational challenge right now? It for the system to understand the need of the client. And let's imagine the salesperson just skips that question. He went straight to, pitching about the product without also checking the budget or their need. We will give them an alert. So we can see here it says qualification drift is detected. At this point, you see how the conventional way it works is, um, if you make a mistake, the only way you can fix it is someone has to tell you you've made a mistake, which happens after the sales is gone. Your manager comes in, maybe listen to the sales call, or ask you what went wrong, and you have to tell them, okay, this is how I approached him, and this is what happened. Then he'll give you a feedback. But I want you to understand there is no going back. That deal is gone. If it's worth 10 grand, that's gone. It's so hard to get a client when back if you've lost him. And here, imagine you are getting that feedback real time when the conversation is happening. You've done something wrong, which enables the salesperson to rectify that mistake right on the call, not when the deal is lost and you get to know it 1 week after when you're having a meeting. So at this time, the sales representative can fix that mistake. He can go back and qualify him right now, and then come back to where he was what he was speaking about. And now let's imagine he even didn't pay attention. He just tried to offer a discount just for the sake of closing this person. That's when the system flags that conversation because he has not done the qualification. He don't know what the client needs. He don't know what his budget. He just pitch the idea. When the client says he cannot afford it, he offers a discount, which is not a suitable way to do consultative sales. So this is where the policy is breached, and which the system flags and notified to the management level. So this is happening in real time, and such a system, it has shown that if we implement systems like that, it will prominently increase the performance of the salesperson, and it will, like, it'll just make the salesperson improve as a person because they are improving by looking at their mistakes in real time. We can only improve if we have to know what we're doing wrong. So that's the basic idea. And yeah, which will of course affects the revenue of the company, because as the company close more deals, there's more income or revenue generated. So that's it for the first part, and we'll go and explain how the second layer is actually helping out the management people. Thank you. Now, what we've seen earlier was happening at an individual level. And but the bigger problem here is most founders or sales managers have no visibility across the team. That's why we have our second layer, as you can see here, which is the management layer. Now, what you can see here is a login screen. So we have an option to sign in as founder, manager, or as the rep. I'll tell you why we have included a rep option here later. Now, here you can see like a live overview of all the ongoing calls, and we've gotten things like how many calls are active, the deals happening today, the margins at risk, and the overall compliance score. For example, this one here, the call from Sarah, as is, what do you say, is flagged as a breach. Is because, as we have said earlier, she proposed a discount without qualifying the client. Now, which we can see the duration here is 20 minutes, which means the call is still going on, and she has done a breach. Her QS score is very low, so the manager can literally see what's going on after clicking here. So this is a summary of her call, what has gone through so far. So you see, this saves that 20-minute manual go through of the recorded call. It's there live, real time. That 20-minute review is reduced to literally 1 or 2 seconds. So if the manager sees this, he knows what's going on, at what point the policy is breached, why, what went wrong, and all that. And okay, now let's go back. So As I was saying, this is where the system gets really powerful. Instead of manually reviewing all these calls and guessing the performance, you can instantly see who is performing, who's not performing, who is struggling, where the deals are at risk. So it basically turns sales into something that is measurable and coachable in real time. I want you to pay attention to the word coachable, because you have to see what needs to be improved in each salesperson that's working under you, because many companies have a high number of salesperson, and it's really hard to manage them. So there are 10, 20 people working under you. You have to measure their performance. So far they are measured on the number of deals they have closed. Sometimes we also have to see what's going on real time on the cost to see what they have to improve or what they need training on, because the training depends on individual level. Some people, they have really good product knowledge, but they are not good at objection handling. Some salesperson, they're good at objection handling, but they have less product knowledge. So you have to literally see what's the individual needs, and you can train them accordingly. So for that you need data, which we have here. And yeah, so the idea here is not to replace salespeople or to take over the industry using AI. Is to give them that. It's to give the salespeople an unfair advantage, and at the same time to give control and visibility to the founders, which they usually don't have within the conventional softwares and CRMs. So to summarize, this is still a prototype, but the goal is to build something that sits at the intersection of AI, revenue, and compliance. And if I go through the system a bit more, you will see we have another section called loss diagnostics, which where we can list all the sales calls that has happened in the past week, and we can filter it for the past month. You can filter it according to the reps. We can filter it according to the outcomes. It just makes the job of the sales manager or the founder a lot easier. They can see what's going on, and each sales call, why it never converted, what went wrong, what the salesperson could have improved. Instead of looking through the notes that the salesperson has written, they can see an unbiased version of the summary of individual sales call. Because sometimes I'll tell you, the sales reps might not even know why the deal didn't close, but a third person monitoring, in this case we have the AI Copilot, it can figure it out. Now, the next section we have here is AI Insight. And this idea got like triggered in my mind, because there was a time when I was closing a few more deals than my colleagues. The way I was doing it, I was closing around 50% upfront payment rather than 10 or 20% usual deposit. And when the founder reached out to me saying, okay, I want to know what you're doing differently so I can train the other salespeople to do the same. The reason what I was doing differently at that time was, I was not giving them an option to say, okay, let's pay that. You can pay the 10% deposit and the rest will put on a payment plan. I was asking, how much would you like to invest? That was the way I approached them. Instead, my colleagues were saying, okay, you can put down the 10% deposit here and the rest will put it on a payment plan. So this is the way that I was doing differently, because some people, they had they could afford paying upfront 50%. And I was adding a value. When they pay 50%, I was giving them some sort of learning materials and everything. So that actually, we were able to push that strategy that I was using to the other salespeople. But the thing is, these patterns has to be identified by the founder even before I have the salesperson has to bring it up. So this is where these patterns are detected. If one of the salesperson is doing more sales, we can detect the pattern, what they're doing differently than the others. So if we detect that pattern early, we can train the other salesperson, and we can implement or train the others, and everyone will get a benefit out of it. So that's one thing. So, and yeah, what else we have here? As I have gone through, we have the call library, and we have the revenue intelligence, where you can see the score trends and everything. The coaching hub, as I said, here it will show what the individual salesperson needed coaching on. Some people need coaching on, as I was saying, objection handling. The other people might need to be trained on product a bit more. So all that. We have the FCA compliance tab here. So if there's anything going wrong, it will show up here. We have the policy engine, and here we have the notification bar. So every policy breach and alerts will pop up here. So the managers can quickly go and look into this area. See breaches, drift, info. We've done all that. Now we have different overview for manager, founder, and rep. The reason why we have put a section for representative, it's for people to learn. You have to go through what you have done in the call, and you can analyze it by yourself. Even the reps, they don't have to go through that 1 hour sales call to see what they did wrong. So they can go through their own call summary and improve themselves, because the AI will tell you what they did wrong. So in the next call, they can improve it. So that's all about the management layer. And for to conclude, as I was saying, the goal is to build something that sits at the intersection of AI, revenue, and compliance. And we are planning to test it out in real time once we are able to improve this product bit more, uh, you know, uh, a bit into a bit more, you know, yeah. So the goal is to build something that sits at the intersection of AI, revenue, and compliance. And once we do run our pilot program, we will get valuable feedback from the sales teams, managers, and also valuable data where the machine learning algorithm can train on. And obviously, once we get more data feed it into the model, it will improve and give more accurate results as it grows. So yeah, thanks for listening. That's it for today.